When I first moved to Melbourne, I sought out a position at RMIT deliberately. And the reason for that was that I wanted to work with some very specific colleagues that we have here. But what is unique and interesting about the school that we have here is I get to be part of creating a research culture here, which is something that was never really possible for me in the previous universities I was involved with. So it's a very exciting opportunity to be part of.
The great thing about RMIT is not only are we sort of encouraged and supported to do really high caliber theoretical and empirical work, we're also encouraged and really supported to do work that looks at sort of the real world implications. We're really encouraged to think about influencing policy, influencing new forms of design, influencing new sort of lifestyle products, etc. So it's great to be at a place where I can actually work at all of these levels.
Why I was excited about coming to RMIT was over the last 2 or 3 years it's become apparent that RMIT are growing and they're investing in people. So they've recruited over the last few years a number of very experienced, prominent researchers within Australia, and also some younger, talented researchers, up-and-coming researchers like myself. So for me personally, it's an exciting time at RMIT. It's apparent that RMIT is going places and is expanding. And I'm excited about the possibility of being part of that. Not only being part of it, but hopefully directing where RMIT goes in the future in terms of research.
I came to RMIT because I think that RMIT was the perfect balance in which you can, in one hand, you have to undertake your basic research, and on the other hand, you can apply this knowledge both in academic settings and close collaboration with biotech and pharmaceutical companies. The VC fellowships will help me to consolidate my career as a research scientist, as providing me with the scientific resources to make a bigger impact on my field of research.
I was really excited to be accepted for the VC fellowship. It's very encouraging to have that kind of validation of your work, in addition to obviously having a position and going forward in your career. It's nice to know that people recognise what you've done and believe that you'll be part of what they're wanting to build up. So yeah, it's very exciting.
The way I see RMIT, its research has really picked up, and I keep on telling people, collaborators from overseas, that RMIT is the new MIT of Australia. So it's really heading in that right direction. A mixture of very good applied research, working with companies, and some fundamental research to go with that.
The VC's fellowship, it really provided me with an opportunity to focus on my research and come to an institution where practical and applied applications are a strong focus, where I can connect with other people doing similar types of work and really be connected with policymakers and local agencies. What I like best about my current role is that I'm able to focus on problems that affect people who don't have a voice in society. My research can have real practical benefits for people who might not otherwise have access to the policy-making process. And in a year I've been able to do more at RMIT than in my previous 7 years at my previous institution.